Do you know how hard it is to watch German TV while you are listening to casual English talk?
I'm guessing very hard.
I'm gonna bet it takes a lot of your concentration.
Yep.
Okay, let's do this.
Okay. It is a period of civil war. Rebel spaceships striking from a hidden base won their first victory against the evil galactic. During the battle, rebel spies managed to steal secret plans to the Empire's ultimate weapon, the Great Sphere, an armored space station with enough power to destroy an entire world. Pursued by the Imponi's sinister agent, Princess Rarity races them with her starship, custodian of stolen plants that could save her ponies and restore freedom to the galaxy.
The space above the desert planet of Talfaltine, Taliftarine, was usually calm, with maybe one or two freighters taking off and landing per day. Certainly no pony would look up and expect to see weapons fire, nor would they expect to see one of the M-Pony's cruisers chasing the smaller vessel this far out into the galactic rim. However, the exact scenario was playing out at the very moment. The smallest ship lurched from side to side as it desperately tried to avoid further injury. Its effort proved to be vain, as yet another lance of energy struck its aft, causing the ship to shudder violently. Oh god, shudder. Like a tree. Like the trees. Oh god, no, no. The explosion was felt by every pony on board, but especially Fluttershy and her companion, Angel Bunny.
Dude, read it like Captain Kirk.
It's my turn now. Okay, let's do this. Angel glanced up at Fluttershy, who was frantically making sure their corridor was still intact, and let out a silent sigh. He knew that Fluttershy was frightened by most things, but could hear that they weren't in any real danger. Being a rabbit had its advantage, after all, even in a galaxy dominated by pony life. He grew more concerned when the normally omnipresent drone in the main engine suddenly died.
Okay, I'm gonna attempt a voice for this. Oh dear, did you hear that, Angel? They shut down the main engine. Maybe we should, hide, Really don't, that's okay, too. Fluttershy finally smoked. Instead of answering, Angel pulled her to the side out of the way of a small group of armed ponies trotting down the hall. He then pointed upward.
What is it, Angel? Asked Fluttershy. Is something happening above us? Haping above us? Angel made a gesture that clearly commanded Fluttershy to be quiet, causing her to squeak softly. Eep! They could then hear a faint scraping noise coming from the deck above them, followed by a short silence and then sounds of lasers, weapons discharging.
Oh my, they've broken in. Maybe we should just surrender, or hide, or we could panic. Or maybe we should just stay here, moaned Fluttershy, sitting down. This display earned another sigh from Angel, who then turned and started hopping away.
But wait, Angel, where are you going? Eep! Cried Fluttershy, as another louder explosion shook the ship. Fearing for their safety, Fluttershy flew after her friend.
2 meters tall, quadruped, and with a starry blue mane, which seemed to behave like a fifth appendage, Nightmare Moon was an awesome, terrifying shape as she strode through the corridors of what was the rebel ship. Fear followed her as the dark cloud that hung above her, with a sudden increase in air pressure caused even hardened storm ponies to back away and mutter nervously among themselves. The once resolute crew members who would die to delay the advance were suddenly scrambling to keep away from the dark shape, with darker thoughts coming upon them. Only one thought was traveling through Nightmare Moon's head now, however, as she turned another passageway.
Fluttershy had lost track of Angel and was frantically searching for her little friend. She had always cared deeply for all of what most ponies would term lesser creatures, and Angel was by far her favorite. They had traveled everywhere together, and having misplaced him was leaving Fluttershy on the verge of panic.
Angel, oh Angel, where are you? Fluttershy called as she checked each and every passageway she came across. The sounds of fighting were still audible, but most of it was thankfully above her.
Finally, she saw Angel at the end of a small maintenance tunnel. Overjoyed, she started to gallop towards him. Gallop, 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 but noticed another presence. Through the smoke, she saw what looked like a pony giving something to Angel. She slid to a stop as the haze thickened past the point of visibility. Wait, I just thought of something. Does that mean Nightmare Moon is Rarity's dad?
Lol.
Okay.
Weird?
I just...
Okay.
I said the same.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was I interrupting? I can just come back later. Fluttershy began, until Angel hopped out of the smoke obscuring Fluttershy's vision. She had gained a new accessory, a backpack, but that was the least of Fluttershy's concerns right now.
Angel, you shouldn't run off like that, especially now. You could hurt yourself. Oh, I'm so glad you're okay. What? Fluttershy started as Angel began thumping her leg. What is it? Angel merely pointed towards the end of the hall and ran.
Bet you all $10 Han Solo's Rainbow Dash.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, not...
Celestia is the Emperor, because people are jerks.
Oh, not again, Angel. Come back, cried an exasperated Fluttershy as she began to run after him in the tree.
The corridor outside the main control center was crowded with the prisoners gathered by Imperial storm ponies. Some lay wounded or dying, some stared back at their captors in silent defiance. Orion stared at the storm pony in particular, who suddenly became very distracted. Satisfied that he had successfully intimidated his guard, he returned to looking down the hallway.
Everyone stopped what they were doing and became silent as the form of Nightmare Moon appeared in the side passage. She stopped in front of Orion with a look of the purest disdain on her face. As one of the storm ponies even, came to deliver his report. The Great Spear of plans are not in the main computer.
These are not the droids we're looking for. Beep, beep.
Yeah, that's going to pop up later.
I know. Nightmare Moon nodded. Then without warning, her starry mane reached out and encircled Orion around the neck and lifted him into the air. Reaching, Orion desperately tried to pry himself loose, but to no avail. Sorry.
So what did you do with those plans? Nightmare snarled. Where are the stolen data disks?
We intercepted nothing of the sort, Orion gasped in reply. This is a counselorship on a diplomatic mission.
Oh, the ship carries the royal crescent of Aldermere. Nightmare leaned in close. Tell me, are you carrying some pony important I can talk to? The implied threat was evident to every pony in the hall. Orion didn't try to say anything. He was looking into the eyes of the dark alicorn.
Finally having enough, Nightmare Moon squeezed harder, finding small satisfaction in the stallion's falling line in her mane. Flinging him to the desk,
And now it's
he turned.
And now it's grimdark.
Yep.
He turned to the storm ponies and shouted, "Tear the ship apart. Those plans have to be on board somewhere. If you find any passengers, I want them brought before me alive." Noticing how no pony was moving, she added, "Quickly, you fools."
Every storm portal around scrambled over each other in their haste to leave. Not only to carry out Nightmare's orders, but to get away from her.
Why did you have to do Jar Jar Binks? You ruined the series now. Angel, if you don't mind me asking, do you know where you're going? Asked Fluttershy quietly. Angel had led the duo down what seemed like an endless series of passages and crawlways that all seemed to travel towards the bottom levels of the ship. She had finally stopped at what looked like an escape pod entry hatch.
Are you sure we're supposed to go in there? I mean, we don't know if... Fluttershy screamed as a panel on the far wall exploded and jumped aside. Angel just nodded and hit the emergency release. As the pod ejected itself from the doomed ship, those were wondering what they would find after the inevitable crash landing on the planet below.
3 storm ponies made their way down a dark corridor. the lights having stopped working when the power was cut. The trooper in the lead noticed something moving behind a fallen piece of piping and shone her flashlight at it. Didn't know they had flashlights. Revealed was the shivering form of a snow-white unicorn, staring back at her with fear in her eyes. The trooper smiled through the flashlight as she continued down to her flank and saw what she was looking for, a cutie mark of 3 diamonds, exactly what Nightmare Merlin was looking for.
I found her! She called, looking back at her companions. Should we set for stun, or the rest of her sentence was cut off as the unicorn had pulled out an energy pistol seemingly out of nowhere and fired. The officer behind her pointed her own weapon and returned fire at the fleeing mare, striking her flank with a stun blast. I'd like to hit her with my stun blast. He cautiously approached the unconscious unicorn, looking over her for signs of life. Behind him, the third stone pony had removed the helmet of the first, revealing a blue-gray Pegasus with a yellow mane, and eyes that weren't quite looking in the same direction.
Pulled out an energy pistol from nowhere? Seriously? Okay, whatever.
That's awesome.
Muffins? The grey-blue Pegasus managed to ask before falling into unconsciousness, as a squad of storm ponies rushed up the hall, having hit the shooting from the deck above. The officer pony turned back to the unicorn on the ground. Satisfied that she had no visible injuries, he turned back to the storm ponies. She'll be alright. Inform Nightmare Moon. We have our prisoner, Princess Rarity.
Wait, that means all stormtroopers are derpy boobs.
Yeah, because they're all clones.
And by the way, that was chapter 1, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Reference to Spaceballs, maybe?